Suge was guilty by association because Suge never affiliated, nor hung, nor did drive-bys and all this other shit that come with gang banging.
Boy, Bruce Richardson beat their ass. You know what I'm saying?
Guess he knew karate?
Yeah. Bad motherfucker, he beat their ass, beat both their ass.
Los Angeles in the early 1990s was a battleground where rap ambitions and street politics collided with violent consequences. At the center of this world stood Suge Knight, the imposing Death Row Records CEO, whose reputation for intimidation and violence made him one of the most feared figures in hip-hop.
Like to tell Tupac, keep his guards up, we ride with him.
But even the most powerful predators can become prey, as Suge learned one fateful night when he ventured into the wrong territory. This is the story of how Suge Knight's carefully cultivated image of invincibility was shattered, and not just once, but repeatedly throughout his career. From the humiliating robbery by Grape Street Crips to beatings at the hands of his own associates, these incidents revealed the fragile nature of power built on fear. More than just embarrassing moments, these confrontations had far-reaching consequences, including potentially contributing to the murder of Tupac Shakur.
An arrest has been made in connection with the shooting death of Tupac Shakur. The rapper's 1996 murder from a drive-by shooting has remained unsolved for nearly 30 years.
The legend of Suge Knight was always part myth, and these incidents show the man behind the carefully constructed facade. The summer of 1992 should have been Suge Knight's moment of triumph. Death Row Records was rapidly becoming the most powerful force in hip-hop, with Dr. Dre's groundbreaking album The Chronic dominating airwaves and establishing the label's signature G-Funk sound. Suge's reputation as an unstoppable gangster mogul was reaching its peak, making what happened next all the more shocking. According to multiple street sources and former associates, Suge made the crucial mistake of venturing into Grape Street Watts territory without his usual contingent of bodyguards. The neighborhood, a known Crip stronghold, was enemy territory for the blood-affiliated Suge. Eyewitness accounts describe how Suge, adorned in his customary lavish jewelry, was quickly surrounded by local gang members who recognized the high-profile intruder in their midst. What transpired was the stuff of street legend. Suge was reportedly robbed of his expensive jewelry, including his signature gold and diamond pieces that were as much a part of his image as his imposing physical presence. Some versions of the story claim he was physically assaulted as well, though these details remain unconfirmed. The most telling aftermath was what didn't happen. Despite Suge's reputation for ruthless retaliation, there was no apparent payback against the Grape Street Crips.
Suge was guilty by association because Suge never affiliated, nor hung, nor did drive-bys and all this other shit that come with gang banging.
This incident became an open secret in hip-hop circles, with many interpreting it as proof that Suge's power had limits. Former Death Row employees described Suge returning to the label's offices in a state of barely contained rage, issuing vague threats but never following through with his customary vengeance. The message was clear. Even the most feared figures in the rap game could be humbled when they strayed into the wrong neighborhood. If the Grape Street incident showed Suge's vulnerability to outside threats, what came next proved danger could come from within his own organization. M.O.B. James, one of Suge's most trusted enforcers and head of Death Row Security, later revealed in interviews that Suge had been robbed by his own bodyguards. This shocking betrayal spoke volumes about the fragile nature of Suge's power structure.
I was a gang banger. Gang members are just there. Cheerleaders, they're just there. Okay.
James described a mid-1990s confrontation that occurred when Suge allegedly refused to pay members of his security team. According to James's account, several bodyguards turned on their employer, physically assaulting him and stealing his valuables right off his person. They reportedly took his expensive watch, gold chains, and even his shoes in a stunning act of defiance against the man who had cultivated an image of absolute authority. What made this incident particularly damaging to Suge's reputation was his inability to retaliate effectively. While he was known for brutal vengeance against perceived enemies, in this case, the attackers were his own people, men who knew all his secrets and methods. The message sent through the streets was clear. Suge's power depended entirely on his ability to maintain loyalty through payments and fear. When the money flow became uncertain, so did the loyalty of those around him.
You are who you are, and whoever believes Suge is this and that, I'm here to tell y'all, Suge ain't never had a red rag in his pocket. Suge ain't never carried a goddamn gun. Suge ain't never did shit.
This episode also revealed the precarious nature of Suge's business model. As death row's finances became increasingly unstable in the late 1990s, so too did the network of enforcers and associates that formed the backbone of Suge's power. The bodyguard rebellion was both symptom and symbol of the empire beginning to crumble from within. Perhaps the most consequential moment of Suge being checked occurred on September 7, 1996, when he and his entourage attacked Orlando Anderson, a Southside Crip, in the MGM Grand Casino lobby. This incident, captured on security cameras, would set in motion a chain of events that may have led to the murder of Tupac Shakur just hours later.
Dwayne Kefe D. Davis has been indicted for murder, according to the Associated Press. Davis shared in a memoir entitled Compton Street Legend that he was in the Cadillac where the gunfire came from.
The confrontation reportedly stemmed from Anderson's alleged involvement in robbing a death row associate earlier that year. In the casino footage, Suge can be seen leading the attack, his smirk visible as Anderson is surrounded and beaten by multiple death row affiliates. At the time, it appeared to be another show of Suge's dominance, a public demonstration that crossing death row had consequences. However, this time the street calculus worked differently. Anderson's Southside Crip associates allegedly saw the very public beating as a humiliation that demanded response. Just hours after the casino incident, as Suge and Tupac drove down the Las Vegas Strip, their BMW was sprayed with bullets in a drive-by shooting that would mortally wound Tupac and leave Suge with minor injuries. The tragic irony was palpable. Suge's insistence on publicly asserting his dominance, his need to prove he couldn't be challenged or disrespected, may have directly contributed to the loss of his biggest star and the beginning of death row's downfall. Where previous incidents had been embarrassing but contained, this one had fatal consequences that reverberated through the entire hip-hop world. In the years since, many have speculated whether Tupac might still be alive if Suge had shown restraint that night in Las Vegas. The incident stands as perhaps the clearest example of how Suge's compulsive need to respond to every slight, real or perceived, ultimately worked against his own interest. By 2014, Suge Knight was a shadow of his former self, both physically and in terms of his street reputation. The once feared mogul had become a frequent tabloid subject, his legal and financial troubles far removed from his 1990s peak. It was in this context that his very public beating by club owner Bruce Richardson served as a symbolic bookend to his era of dominance.
Boy, Bruce Richardson beat their ass. You know what I'm saying?
I guess he knew karate?
Yeah. Bad motherfucker, he beat their ass, beat both of their ass.
The altercation occurred in a Las Vegas parking lot following an argument. Cell phone footage captured by bystanders showed a shocking scene. The middle-aged, out-of-shape Suge swung wildly at Richardson, a former athlete who responded with a single punch that sent the former death row CEO crashing to the pavement unconscious. The images went viral, with many commenting on how far the once intimidating figure had fallen.
They tried to do boom, boom. They lost.
Oh, so this dude Bruce fought both of them at the same time?
They lost, dude.
Okay.
They lost. You could ask anybody here.
This incident differed from the others in one crucial aspect. It wasn't about gang politics or street codes. Richardson wasn't sending a message or asserting dominance in the criminal underworld. It was simply one man beating another in a fight, with no deeper meaning than that. In this way, it perfectly illustrated how thoroughly Suge had been reduced to just another person, his fearsome reputation now more memory than reality. The footage served as visual confirmation of what had been apparent for years. The aura of invincibility that had surrounded Suge in death row's heyday was gone, leaving behind just a man facing the consequences of his past actions. Within a year of this humiliation, Suge would be in jail facing murder charges, his days as a power player definitively over.
He's led an additional 5 years in state prison for a total unstayed term of 28 years.
This time, defendant is ordered transfer to Department 120 to have a dismissal on the other matter, which is part of the plea bargain. If there's nothing further, that'll be it. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Even in prison, Suge Knight's reputation continued to be challenged. In 2018, reports surfaced of an altercation in the exercise yard at Los Angeles County Men's Central Jail, where Suge was allegedly confronted by members of a rival gang. According to inmate accounts, the confrontation stemmed from unpaid debts and lingering tensions from Suge's death row days. The details remain murky due to prison officials downplaying the incident, but multiple sources described a scenario where Suge was surrounded by several inmates before guards intervened. What makes this incident particularly significant is that it occurred in an environment where Suge couldn't rely on his usual tactics of intimidation or financial leverage. The prison yard became the ultimate equalizer, reducing the once powerful mogul to just another inmate navigating the dangerous hierarchies of incarcerated life. This episode serves as a fitting coda to Suge's story. A man who once commanded fear throughout the music industry and streets of Los Angeles, now forced to navigate the same dangers as any other prisoner. It underscores how thoroughly the trappings of his former power had been stripped away, leaving only the man himself to face the consequences of his past actions.
You know what I'm saying? He ain't talk shit to Buntry. He ain't talk shit to Neckbone. None of these dudes. So all that shit he doing behind bars is a fucking joke, man. You know what I'm saying?
The story of Suge Knight's various beatings is more than just a collection of embarrassing moments. It's a cautionary tale about the nature of power, built on fear and intimidation. Each incident, from the Grape Street robbery to the Richardson knockout, chipped away at the carefully constructed myth until only the reality remained. A man whose power was always more fragile than it appeared. Perhaps most tragically, Suge's compulsive need to respond to every challenge may have contributed directly to the death of Tupac Shakur, the artist who was death row's brightest star. In the end, the very traits that built Suge's empire, the ruthlessness and the refusal to back down from any confrontation, became the instruments of his downfall. Today, as Suge serves a 28-year prison sentence for voluntary manslaughter, these incidents stand as reminders that no one stays untouchable forever. The streets that created Suge Knight ultimately consumed him, just as they had so many others who mistook fear for respect and intimidation for real power.